Mazel tov. Shalom Zacher tonight. What time? 8:40. Whatever you can. Mazel tov. Wow, it's such a beautiful thing to go from Simchas here. Mishpachat Weizmann should have Simchas ad day, ad forever and ever. 3 beautiful boys could have easily been raised in following chiefs and royals, and instead, with Hashem, they'll be following the chiefs and royals from here. Huh? This chief and we're all royals. I like it. However, today's my grandmother's yahrzeit. It's very special for me. My grandmother, Chaya Rachel, Bas Tzvi Hirsch. My mother's mother, I mentioned a few times this week. It's a 27th yahrzeit. It's crazy. I was 17 when she was nifteres, and she was a very big role, very big figure in my life. She was grandma, and it's one of Davin that all the words here today. Shbei Leilui Nishmasa and Shemaim. She should continue to have nachas from all of her children, grandchildren, and all the great grandchildren she never got to meet. We're going to do something today from Parshat Para. Now, in the ones that you have, the sefer that you have, there's a mimer that we did it already last year. So, but from the big one here, from Rav Biderman on the Dalet Parshiyos and Purim, there's like 5 or 6 ma'amorim on Parshat Para. So I printed out one of them that I wanted us to see inside. Very, very short and very, very sweet and very essential, very beautiful. I think there's a yesod here that is not a b'diavad. It should be a lechatchila. It's like these types of Torahs you could learn any day of the year. But since this Shabbos we're learning Parshas Para, Parshas Vayakal, Parshas Para this year. Therefore, we always go to something that we saw last year as well, a very beautiful inyan of why do we have to learn this. Why is it something that has to be from the one of the Dalet Parshas? Also, why does it come before Mitzvahs HaChodesh, Parshas HaChodesh? But one of the things that we see over here is that usually when we learn Haftarah, the Haftarah kind of mirrors the tochen of what you learned in the Parsha. Right? Even with Parshas Para, it should be the same thing. What's the maftir? It's Efer Parah Aduma, Tahara Sames. But when we see in the Haftarah is V'zarakti lachem mayim tahorim u'tahartem mikol tumosechem mikol gidulechem atar heschem. And another mimer of Rav Biderman says the Haftarah is speaking about what the tahara is really all about, and that's taharas hanefesh, the purity of the soul. What does it mean, taharas hanefesh? It means going back to roots. What's back to roots? Tmimus and pshitus. V'ikho elecha para aduma temimus, this concept that, again, like I said, we could learn any day of the year. It's not dafka now that we could learn this. From the small standard. So we see in the page they have in front of you, Shin Lamed Bet. Yeah, is that the first page you have?
Yeah.
Shin Lamed Bet. Something very important. Emuna pshuta b'chaya elamim. Mitzvahs para aduma. Choki belo tam. As we know, it's a chok that doesn't seem to have a reason, even though that's also very confusing, because the truth is, para aduma has one of the most basic reasons in the world. What's the most basic explanation for understanding the inyan of para aduma? Huh? But why? Huh? Chet ha'egel. Like it's such a wondrous thing. Tava ima I think the lashon is tava ima v'tekaneach tsoyas b'na. That's the lashon of Chazal. We've sinned with such a big thing called chet ha'egel, right? What's the mama of the egel? A para. So therefore he says, mommy's going to come and take care of her child's mess. However, still, even Shlomo HaMelech says, Amarti achak mahi v'rechoika mimeni. That even Shlomo HaMelech couldn't stand on the pnimi reason of para aduma. So it's still, as much as we could say we have reasons in drashim and remazim and sodos, there's an inyan that it's supposed to be without a tam. You understand? There's a reason that it should be, listen, this is beyond you. It's only because of the most deepest reason. What reason is that? Because I said so. Because I said so. Try that with your children. But that doesn't usually work, because I said so, right? So again, mitzvahs para du machoiki b'loi tam kokosu zeis chukas haTorah ve'ein lanu rishus leharher achareh. We have no permission to come and start to contemplating and wonder, I don't know, it should make sense to me. And Rav Biderman says, "V'zot tachlis hatahara." That's actually the most purifying thing you can do in this world. Is to actually do something only because Hashem said so. There's no greater purity. That is the most purifying thing in the world, because Hashem said so. וזאת תכלית הטהרה כשאין האדם מהרר אחר מידותיו של הקדוש ברוך הוא, אלא הולך באמונה תמימה, כי לשון רש"י לפסוק תמים תהיה עם השם אלוקיך. In Parshas Shoftim, when it says Tamim תהיה עם השם אלוקיך, what does Rashi say Tamim means? Hisalech imam mitmimus v'tetzapelo. Walk with Hashem with utmost simplicity and purity, v'tetzapelo. Always look long and look forward to being with Hashem. V'lo tachkor achar ha'asidos. And do not go into fortune telling. Don't try to live tomorrow. Tmimus means right here, right now. That's tmimus. Ela kol ma sheyavo alecha kabel b'tmimus. Whatever befalls upon you, you just receive with tmimus. Ve'az tiyeh imoy ulecholka. And then you will be with, we were learning yesterday in the women's shiur, Torah Samach Hey, in the Likutei Moharan. We've been doing it for a month now. Torah Samach Hey in the Likutei Moharan is the Torah of Baal Hasadeh, the master of the field. In that field, Rabbi Nachman speaks about some very, very profound ways of understanding the tikkun of neshamas, both alive and not alive. And it said, I was looking in, like one of Reb Chaim Kramer's introductories to this teaching, and it says that he gave this Torah over right after his first son died. Rabbi Nachman had 8 children, and he buried 4 of them in his lifetime, and his first wife. And as deep as Reb Nachman, infinitely deep as he was, the bottom line was this, though, with all the drushes and everything. The bottom line was, Ikar Avodas Hashem bitmimus ubepshitus. You could say, Rabbi Nachman, how could you say such words? You're tying up the deepest sodos HaTorah through everything. He says, that's not called a hirhur. That's not called like a wondering whether everything's under control. That's just saying, let me look deeper into life. But the bottom line, the place from which I operate from, tmimus and pshitus. Because when you go that route, good things happen to you and to other people, whether you realize it or not. The surrounding, the society, the community, the family, everyone gets affected the tova when my approach is bitmimus v'pshitus, whether you realize it or not. Now look, and then this fish, then ain't usually, how could there be yesh? Yesh is no shaykhis to it. Now, look at footnote chet. This is gewalt. Maybe we've seen this before. I think I saw this before once, but it's so special. Parah aduma hichok b'lo tam. ברמז יש בדבר על ענייני אמונה בהשם יתברך בתמימוס, שלא יסיימר האדם לחשוב שהוא יודע ומבין מאומה מכל הנהגת הבריאה. Anyone understand here why they had to see their children's face in terror last night? Running into a bomb shelter again? Running into the safe? Anyone understand? You understand this Indian? You chap it? Why I had to see my Nachman turn more pale than I've ever seen before in my life? We understand these things? I don't understand it. Does it prevent me from coming to daven this morning? To learn Torah? The fact that I can't understand it? I don't understand how these you understand what kind of joke this is? Do you know the Chutim? You understand who these people? Who are these people? They're putting half of the country into bomb shelters at 4 a.m. Who are these people, Bichlal? Right? I don't understand it. Lo mevin me'uma ma'anagas habayra. Ela yelech ima bitmimus bli lahavin. You, without understanding, you don't need to understand to walk with Hashem. Usually, it's better not to. Midei shana b'shana b'Shabbos Parshas Para. Haya Rav HaKadosh Reb Chana Chenech me'Akoyen me'Alexander mesaper b'shem Rav HaKadosh Achoizen miLublin. Ma'aseh shehaya b'yimei hakomrim hanotzrim harishayim Shenisu b'chol izdanus lahatzeres Yisrael. The Heilige Alexander would say the following story every Parshat Para in the name of the Rebbe of the Chayza of Lublin. The days of, there were certain priests, like Rishaim, that tried in every opportunity they had to make things bad for Yidden. Hayu mevakshim rishus v'hormena min hamoshel sheiten lehem litvakach im hayodim barabim ulochiach lehem she'en latzedek imam. What would they do? They would get the permission and the blessing and the authority from the local governor to hold public debates, to be able to embarrass the daylights out of Yidden and to disprove Yiddishkeit and to show how stupid Yidden are. And once disproving the Yidden's authenticity and authority, what would they then end up doing? Convert. They could cause the simple Jew that knows nothing, but he sees, what, this Jew that's representing me sounds like an idiot. The Galach here, he sounds like he really knows what he's talking about. Then it would end up in conversion. One time, there's an evil priest came to a certain village. He received permission from one of the ministers like a governor in that area, to decree on the Jews to send their shliach to stand to hold the public debate, to prove the Yiddishkeit, but the one that would win the debate, what was the prize for the winner? What do you get to do? You drown the other guy in the ocean. Whoever wins drowns the other guy into the ocean. Pachad ura'ada, the Yidden are freaking out. It's like, it hasn't really worked for us in the past, you know. Pachad ura'ada saru etzel Yudei akfar she'ayu anashim pshutim biyoter. There was simple Yidden in this village. They couldn't find someone that would be from, like, you know, street smarts or book smarts or any type of smarts that would outsmart this galach. Beleis breira, tavsu omnos avisem biyadem, v'shavchu tfilas lifnei adon hakol sheyeshia isam mitzarasam. What did they end up doing? So I love when he uses this lashon. Tavsu omnos avisem biyadem. You know what that means? But what does that mean in a figuratively speaking? What does it mean? It's like they grabbed Tati's weapon, right? They grabbed the weapon they grabbed the weapon that they knew of from, you know, the only weapon that they knew of, and they started davening. And before then they're looking, okay, who's gonna get up and stand before the priest? Yisnadev lekach chayat pashut me'od. So some very simple tailor agreed. Shaya samuch batuach, he was certain that God would save them. Shakadosh Baruch Hu yoshia otam mitziparnei harash. Kshera'a et komer pnei hachayat, then the priest sees the face of the tailor. Savar shayudim lo agim lo. They felt like the Jews were making a mockery out of him. Why? Beyado shebekoshi yodeh halo krog sov. This komer, this priest knew that this tailor barely knew how to read or write. So he said, you know what? Tailor, you ask me a question first, and then I'll answer you. He was certain, because he was certain that people would even hear his question, and the game would be over. He would hear what kind of stupid question this Jew would ask. There wouldn't even be a need for more of a debate afterwards. So the tailor goes first. Miyad patach hachayat v'shal hakomer b'tmimus. He asked him with tmimus, with very much just, you know, no chochmas. Ma perush hamilim eini yodea. What is the words in Hebrew eini yodea mean? So he answered back nie wiem, which is I don't know in Polish. Right? He answered him. Oh, azak hachayat b'yitrakshut shu nitzach hakomer. So then the tailor says, Gewalt, I just beat the priest. I won the debate because I got him, mamish, first strike. I got him to say, I don't know. You understand, Chevron? The Chachma? Sharei hoda me'atzmo. He admits himself. Shehu eino yodeh la'anot et she'elato. He himself knows. I don't know how to answer. Because he says, I don't know. Ki hagoyim lo yadu lashon hakodesh. Lachen lo yivinu torev she'elaso. ורק שומעו איך שהכומר מודה על האמס, ועונה ניאביים, ואכן זרקו את הכומר לים. And then they chucked then they ended up chucking the priest into the water because he got him to say, I don't know. And he won. אנשי הכפר הודו ושיבחו לקדוש ברוך הוא על גודל הנס שעשה עמהם בדרך פלא. The Yidden, Gevalta, they flying so high. But then they come back and they say, ואחר כן שאלו לסחייט, מדוע בחר לשאול שאלה כזאת לאותו רשע? How'd you figure that one out? Like, how'd you come up with this thing to ask the Komer how you say Eini Yodea? What it means? How did you know how to do that? Yeshiva Chayat Bitmimus, he says, honestly, Istakel B'Sefer Ivritaych. You know what that means? The book called Ivritaych, like Hebrew learning. Yeah, Ivritaych, like learning Hebrew. V'ra'a she'ala tevot Eini Yodea Katov Meforash Ich Weiß Nicht. So he says, I looked under the words Eini Yodea in the Hebrew Yiddish dictionary. It said under the words Eini Yodea Ich Weiß Nicht, which means I don't know. Hevanti. שאם מחבר ספר הטייץ' הקדוש לא ידע פירושם של תיבוס איני יודע. איך ידע הרלתה מה זה פירושם? But you understand, he went with such tmimus. He says like this for the Chavod that I don't understand. He says, I went to the dictionary, the Hebrew Yiddish dictionary. There was a thing there that I saw that the translation was I don't know. Even though that was the translation. It was the translation of the words, right? But he just thought that even the Bala dictionary didn't have an answer for it. So he's saying if the Bala dictionary doesn't have an answer, so I'm sure the Kohen, the Galach, for sure doesn't have an answer, right? You see, the Tmimus, you understand? That's the point of the story. It's true. This tailor was a fool. It wasn't a chacham. But the Sea of Lublin takes a beautiful tailor from this. They were saved. Yidlach were saved, and they came from out of darkness into light. By just without even knowing anything and understanding, they just went with tmimus. Rak lahamim bepshitus. The kol ma the ovid rachmana letav avid. You know, so many times there's so many stories the Baal Shem HaKadosh would always say, Alavai, with all the kavanas, and tikkunim, and Kabbalah, and all the amazing Alavai, I could say a shehakol, like the, you know, whoever it was, like the simpleton of the kfar that knows nothing, but he knows that Hashem is the one that gave him the water, that gave him whatever. Alavai. Tmimus and pshitas. Okay, so back to the page before. That tmimus? Okay.
We're all human beings. Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us sechel, gave us everything. It's very hard not to ask questions. It's very hard. So how they put us in category to be tamim tiyem Elohecha? It's beautiful, but it's very hard. I see something wrong, I have to say something. So what do you do then?
So meaning not to be. So you're saying there's times in life that ki'ilu it pushes us to naturally not be tamim. Yeah. I would say like we have a word in the shul. We have a dictionary in our shul also. So what's the dictionary? What is the meaning of the word hard? Worthwhile. Mishtalem. קשה? כן, קשה גם להיות בעולם הזה. אבל זה משתלם. אפילו שזה קשה, תמיד זה משתלם ללכת בתמימות. אפילו אם אתה לא יכול למנוע את עצמך מלבקש, מלשאול, תמיד בתמונה היותר גדולה, התמימות תמיד תהיה זאת שמנצחת, ונותנת לנו את האור והבהירות הדעת, הרבה יותר מכל סיבה שיתנו לנו על עצם השאלה שלנו. I'll give you a great example. I've said this before. I have a very close friend that when we were younger, like earlier in marriage, his wife Nebuch got stricken with cancer, and it was a type of cancer that, well, not the normal type of, not like, I don't know if this is the normal type of cancer. It was a very rare type of cancer, And he spent nights and days like he was a zombie. And all he was doing was researching this type of cancer to try to understand how she got it. And he thought he was making progress, but then he stopped, and then he tried again, but he became like Meshugana. So I went to meet him one day in his house, and I said to him, tell me something. Let's play something out. Let's say that you understand how she got it. What does that change? What does that change? You want to tell me now I'll know with my children. Forget, nothing to do with that. That's not why you're researching. And let me ask you, do you also ask Hashem day and night, why she got it? And if Hashem gave you an answer, would it change anything about the mitzias of why your wife is going through what you're going through? But this is just what it is. I'm not Khalila telling you, like, go around and start dancing on the top of a van and saying Akol Tov. No. But Tmimus is not just a default. Tmimus should be the Lechatchila. Nachon, it's the hardest thing in the world, but it's so worthwhile when that becomes my default. In every area in my life. Every area in my life. Sometimes it's impossible. And yet, you see, this always brings us back. It aligns us with our core. And when we go with Tmimus, everyone else benefits too. Like this story over here. Like everyone around me also, some will eventually be benefiting and having a better experience in this world because I chose Tmimus in this world. It's very hard for the human mind, the rational mind that's constantly working all day long, keneged this train of thought. It's true. However, this is why we have the tzaddikim that give us these eitzes. Okay. Vatmimus, you see back on page Shalamed Bet, Vatmimus tzricha liot bishleimus ulelo shum pgam. No blemishes, full on tmimus. Kmo she'amru tzaddikim kamai, like the older tzaddikim used to say, the bitmimus apara aduma, kaimalan, she'im yesh la para sa'ara achas shchora, akasi hi bichlal tmima ve'ena nifseles. So even if, like it's brought down in the Mishnayos and Parah, that if the Parah has one black hair, it's still considered in the gather of tmima, and it's not puzzle. Rak shtei se'arot poslotota. Only if it has two black hairs does it become blemished, and it's aser. Ava b'mitzvahs tamim tiei Hashem elekecha, but that's not so when it comes to the mitzvah of tmimus regarding us. The Parah can have one black hair, and it's still tamim. By us, b'mitzvahs tamim tiei Hashem elekecha, poseles afilu sa'ara achas, even one hair passes it. Ki ha'emuna b'chaya ilamim tzricha liot b'shleimus lelo shum pgam. Because the emunah and the Rebbeinu Shalom has to be complete without one black hair. Without one black hair over here means without one suffix, without one hirhur, complete, totally. Take these pages later, you'll see. You should look at the long story here with Moshe Feinstein, which is very beautiful on the bottom. Ubischar emunah zolcha adam lias dovuk b'Hashem yisbarach. Ba'ofen na'ale me'od. You see, Rav Biderman is saying, when this is how you live, you're zolchet to live a life of dveikus on a very, very high and exalted level. Usually we think the more I learn and take on things and have kabbalas v'chulei, that will take me to the place of dveikus. Really, that takes me to the place of feeling like I'm living with the Ribbon Shalom is when tmimus is my way to go. Siper Rav HaKadosh Baalei Imre Menachem Alexander, Alexander Rebbe said, Shibimei Alumav, when he was a young man, Ikla Pama Rav HaKadosh, Bala Yismach Yisrael Alexander Leluj Avur Dvar Mitzvah. The Yismach Yisrael, he's talking about his Zayda, Alexander Rebbe came to Lodge. There was a certain mitzvah he was doing. Ubiyoso Sham Yashav Beis HaMedrash Ve'asak B'Torah Be'atmada. Found a Beis Medrash, he's sitting there, he's learning Shtark, he's learning Gevalt. V'chen hirba ledaber im HaChevraya Be'pilpulei De'oraisa M'yod De'Chasidusa. And he was schmoozing with the Chevra there in all these different sugyas, Torah, Chasidus. Pam achas namad mimkomo, ve'hotzi a sefer min ha'aron, ve'iyin bo lemeshech kama regoim. One time he gets up, he pulls out a sefer he sees on the shelf. Ve'ro, and people saw, she'afifu oso pachad u're'ada. He starts shaking. You ever have that? You pull off a book from the shelf, you have no idea what you're about to see, but then when you see it, you can't believe it. This is what happened to him. Azil sumka v'ati chivra migodel hayira. He started becoming pale. Lost all the color in his face. He became pale from what he saw. ואחר כך הסתובב בבית המדרש ענה וענה כשהוא תופס בשרף אש קודש בהסלבלוס גדולה, and he starts to wander around the base medrash, but you see fireballs are coming out of his eyes and ears and mouth. Mamish. ורק אחר זמן רב, only a long time later, נרגע ברוחו, he chilled out, וחזר לשוחח עם אלוהים מפעולי דאורייתא. Only later, after a while, he was able to come back down and continue conversing with the Chavan the base midrash and other sugyas. לאחר התפילה ישבו החסידים לסעודת מרעים. Chassidim, they don't need a reason to have a Seudas Meraim. It's Chassidim. It's a Monday in January, and they're sitting down and they're pounding it. Ve'ivchinu al Yismach Yisrael, but they see the Alexander Rebbe shu adayin meshotet berayonotav. He's still in his thoughts. Ve'esh kodesh tukad boy, and it's coming out with fire. Mishenishal ma'ira ima heishiv. When he was asked, "What happened to you?" He said, "Ra davar nifla b'sefer Chesed Lavram." He saw something in a sefer called Chesed Lavram, which was a sefer of the Rav HaKadosh Bali Yesod Avona Mislonim. Schus Yagen Aleinu. This, if you have the Sfarim of Slonim, don't, I'm begging you, don't just, I'm not belittling, I'm saying it in the name of him, I think. Don't just go with the Nesivas Shalom. Go to his father-in-law, to his grandfather-in-law, to the Zaydas. We learned a little bit here, Beis Avram, Birkas Avram, Chesed Avram, Yesoda Avoda, all the Sfarim and Torahs Avos, I think it's the Sefer, Torahs Avos, all the Torahs and Slonim, you see how the Nesivas Shalom became the Nesivas Shalom. It's this rich heritage of the Sfarim that came before him. So the Chesed Lavram writes in there like this. Shehevi b'sham b'shem Rav HaKadosh Reb Moshe Mikubrin, Schista Genalim, Lefaresh, Mai Dichsiv, what does it mean? Ve'emunascha sviv oisecha. The phrase in Tehillim Peites. Ve'emunascha sviv oisecha. That in your emunah is your surrounding. Shal yedei ha'emunah b'chai ha'ilamim, believing in the Ribono Shleim. Yesh beyad ha'adam lechabek ulehakif es melech malchei hamlochim kivyachol. Through real believing in the Ribono Shleim, it becomes possible to hug and to be this is far out, to hug and to makif, to surround the Ribono Shleim, so to speak. B'lashon ha'kodesh mit emuna nemt mendir arum. U'maimar zeh hisir also le'me'od. And this maimar really shook him up. Now, I want to speak about this for a second. If you tell a hippie, if you really believe in God, you could mamish hug God. Right? You would think the hippie would be like, wow. He starts imagery and visualization. Who's the Yismach Yisrael? Who's the Alexander Rebbe? The Alexander Rebbe, stories about the Alexander Rebbe. Alexander Rebbe was one of the early pupils of Reb Simcha Bonim Epshischa. He was there with the Kotzker Rebbe, with the Chidush Yarim, with the Ishbitzer, with the Radzminer. He was holding in Nigla and Nister fully. He was holding in all the deepest secrets of the Torah. But it's dafka, such a pashto vort like this, is what shook him to high heaven. What's so deep about these two words? It's the deepest and most simple thing in the world. He says when you live life with tmimus, real emes dika emuna, and you take that for what it's worth, what you end up doing is that you're ki'ilu surrounding the Ribono Shleim. Whatever that means, whatever that actually means, it's a taich, right? But when you live with tmimus and you hear a voice like that, it shakes you to your core. You understand? He's one that I'm telling you, he probably did 5 Siyum Shasas by the time this story happened to him. And after this, we see shook him so much to the core. Why? Because whenever I go back to tmimus, you know what I become? And it's what the Piasetzner writes throughout Achsharas Avrechim. I become an ish mitragesh. Things move me. Things move me. Why is tmimus so special? Ki ani niyah ish mitragesh. I become a moved person again. Some of us have very high moments in life. We have beautiful lives. Good things are happening. We're busy with very good things, good decisions, healthy, Hashem. Everything's working out, more or less. But you know what we don't have? Lehitragesh. We're not moved by any vort. We're not moved by people. We're not moved by Shabbos. We're not moved by anything anymore. When you live with tmimus, what the tzaddik is saying here, you can come across very simple tailor, and they move you to your core, and you can't ignore it. So I want to give us a bracha in the schus of Parshat Para, the schus of my grandmother's yahrzeit, the schus of the yahrzeit of the tzaddik, the Naim Elimelech schus again aleinu, Lehitragesh. We should be people that are moved very much, moved not only by chayalim and zdei akrav, where we're so moved by Mesirus Nefesh of the Giborim, but to be moved by, you could be moved if you're really living in Hashem's world, in Hashem's reality. You could be very easily moved by almost anything. Almost anything. Almost anything can touch you. Like, does it touch you right now that your choice in life was to open up Friday morning, learning a little bit of Chassidus before Shabbos? Does it, not do you feel good about it, does it move you? Does it touch you? Does it touch you? Does it have anything to do with... So if the answer is no, is why? It's because tmimus is not really how I roll. Lama? Is yoter midai kasher. Or, I just don't think that's what Hashem wants of me. Really? Tamim tiyeh im Hashem alekecha. Ve'yikchu elecha Parah aduma tmima. Pesach's going to reenact again this year, and before Pesach comes, the Rebbeinu Shalom wants us to do a tahara on all the life of not being moved, to purify that world. Not dafka of Tumah, but live the world of going through life and not being moved by experiences needs a tahara. Because chas v'shon, you should be redeemed again this Pesach and it shouldn't move you. God forbid you should wake up in Eretz Yisrael again on an Erev Shabbos, come to learn Torah and it shouldn't move you. God forbid you should go to shul tonight in Eretz HaKodesh, daven and sing, and it shouldn't really move you. That's the tahara of living a dead life. Tmimus is mamish, brings you alive again. So I want to give us a bracha to become anashim mitrakshim, people that are moved, that are touched, and Bezrat Hashem, like that, we will finally, once and for all, get out of the anti-feeling, which is Mitzrayim, once and for all, forever and ever and ever. We have a Shalom Zachar tonight. We have Shalosh Shudis Tziburi tomorrow. We have the last parent-child learning tomorrow night. And it also happens to be Shabbos. There's a lot of different things. I'm saying this to myself. I'm going now to marry off a couple. Right? Mazel Tov. And I met, like, my wife asked me last week, there's been a lot of weddings this year. More than I ever did. I said, do you still get moved? And I said to myself, I caught myself a few weeks ago at someone's chuppah, and I went like this. Lehitragesh. Lehitragesh, meaning, huh? No. There's been a lot of chevra that come through the shul. It's like really beautiful. A lot of people that come here on Friday nights, they don't live here, whatever it is, and a lot of chevra that grew up here that aren't into Yiddishkeit anymore, but they can't ignore their neshama, so they'll come here once on Friday night, right? And Baruch Hashem, it's one of the greatest chusim to do those chuppahs of the children of Efrat that seem like they're not connected anymore. Those, I tell you the truth, those chuppahs are me'od mitragesh. Very, very much so. It's very special. So I give us a bracha to pashut, b'tmimus, liot anashim shemitragesh, it should be a tahara on us, and get us ready for Pesach in the right way. Amen. Shkoyach.